hair, but seems to not be doing that, which I don't mind.
I love it. All right, I'm back on TJ's side.
There's a fresh haircut there too. I can see. That's my interpolation. I can see by the sides.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Wow. Well, he's gonna drink the J Harden wine today, so the robe and the new haircut is all very important for today's show.
It is 10:30 in the morning. I don't drink wine normally, but for one J Harden, I'll do almost anything.
A lot of loose clips coming up.
Oh, boy.
CJ on the sound effects. Be prepared.
Here we are waiting. You know, I don't like that there's only one person in the chat right now.
Everyone's
Kevin,
asleep.
No offense. No offense, Kevin. I guess it's a holiday weekend, right?
Yeah, that too.
College football guys? Not a college football guy. I don't care.
It was fun. Not exactly this time last year, but I was working for Odyssey almost a year ago, and one of my stations was for college football. So I would just watch college football all day for work. That was fun.
Not a bad gig.
Yeah, not bad.
Ready to rock? Rock and roll?
Let's do it.
Rock and roll. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. Promo code RTRS when you sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook, and brought to you by Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process. BriggsAuction.com/Ricky. Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at BigBarker.com/Ricky. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged, and Kinetic Skateboarding. Get 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver. On today's show, Donovan Mitchell gets traded to the Eastern Conference, but not the Knicks. Does this make the road to the finals tougher for the Sixers? CJ is in a robe and has a fresh haircut and will drink J Harden wine right here, 10:30 in the morning, Eastern time. Ben Simmons gets booed at the U.S. Open. James Ennis dances suggestively on the internet, and more. Before we get going, Fly the Process is back in 2023. We are going to Austin and San Antonio to go see one Brett Brown, go see a Spurs-Sixers game. It's February 2nd through the 5th. We will stay in Austin and bus to San Antonio. As with every Fly the Process, which we partner with Fans of Philly, it'll be great. We'll be at a great hotel, a 4-star hotel in downtown Austin. We'll get a photo on the court after the game. We'll have a pregame party. It's going to be awesome. Fans of Philly will cover your travel and all that kind of stuff. So go to rightstoRickySanchez.com/fly. That is rightstoRickySanchez.com/fly. You reserve your spot for $150. And I did mention Kinetic Skateboarding. It seems like every weekend they have a raffle for more special shoes. Today is the first day of the raffle for the Nike SB Cherry Dunk Low, which is pretty sweet. Nike Dunks hurt my feet, but if they don't hurt your feet, you can go to Kinetic starting today, Saturday, between 10 a.m. 7 p.m. and get your free raffle ticket for the Nike SB Cherry Dunk Low. And available now, the new Kinetic Newcastle County t-shirts with the castle on there and the boat. It's a pretty fucking cool shirt, available in red and gray. KineticSkateboarding.com. Use promo code Dave Silver for 9.1% off your first order. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Right. Whoa. Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I forgot how to do it. Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who is proclaimed he is back in on CJ. That is one Mike Levin.
Well, I just really like that the rundown was Donovan Mitchell gets traded to the Cavs. Mm-hmm. CJ is wearing a robe. These are the biggest stories in our universe in early September.
Yep. Well,
locked in.
My position is until it's after Labor Day, we're still in August, even if we're in September.
Yeah, I mean, August extends as far as the NBA offseason go.
Yeah.
August extends a while.
It sort of reminds me when I was at WIP, we would always talk about, there was, sort of a dead zone content-wise, like in June or July. It would be like, as soon as training camp gets here, we'll be fine. And then training camp would get there, and a day into it, we would be bored with training camp stuff. So the same thing here. I'm like, well, as soon as August is over, things will ramp up again. Here we are in September. They haven't ramped up. It's still August, even though it's September.
Yeah, I was wrong about. I'm still waiting for that consolidation trade, but now I'm thinking that the reason that the trade hasn't happened yet is because everyone was waiting on the Donovan Mitchell trade to finally break, and so there's a lot of pieces. We can talk about the trade itself, but there's a lot of pieces remaining on Utah that are interesting for the Sixers.
Yes, I didn't have that on my rundown, but it was on the rundown in my head. So the trade itself, we'll talk about that now. So the trade, do you want to talk about the pieces? I think we talk about the trade and then the pieces as far as the Sixers. So the trade, Donovan Mitchell, surprising everybody, I think, goes to the Cavs. Cavs give up Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, Ochai Agbaji, 3 first-round picks, all unprotected, 2 swaps. The shock here is that everyone thought it was pretty much a fait accompli that he would go to the Knicks. The Knicks, I guess, called Ainge's bluff by signing R.J. Barrett. Ainge flips over his cards and shows a blackjack hand, and the bluff has been called and answered. So,
bluffing at blackjack?
I guess.
Okay. Just trying to follow the metaphor.
I guess you could bluff at blackjack. Okay. There's be no point.
Yeah.
I guess you hit the river card, and you had 2 pair, and it was pokers, I guess is what you would
forget that you're dealing with Vegas Mike, Sicko Mike right now.
Right. Until camp starts. So, all right, first thing, I was stunned that the Knicks didn't get him. I actually 100% stunned. I think it is a great trade for the Cavs. I think Colin Sexton was never going to be on the Cavs really in an important role. I like Markkanen, but whatever. And you're in a market like that. You can't rely on free agency at all. And they've got a good core with Garland and Mobley and Allen. And I think Donovan Mitchell's an pretty awesome player and pretty young, and I think it's a good trade for them. I thought it was good, and I think it makes them good. I don't think they'll win the title this year or anything, but I think they'd be pretty good. I think they win are close to 50 games. That would be my position on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an awesome trade for them. To your point, small market. You love seeing a small market go for it, and they're going for it with young guys that are already good. Garland rules. Jared Allen is not crazy dissimilar from Rudy Gobert as far as how they play. Evan Mobley had an incredible rookie season, one of the best in a long time, and I loved Evan Mobley in college. He was a better offensive player right off the bat than I maybe gave him credit for. I wonder how high that ceiling is, where that goes. But why not? Markkanen is fine. Was a little bit. Was drafted high, came over from Chicago, wasn't that good. He was fine. He made himself an NBA player, but fine. Sexton they were trying to get rid of. Abaji kind of fits perfectly in this lineup right now, but had to move him in the deal. Five total firsts is a lot, but that's kind of the Gobert market. It's a great trade for them. It's exciting. It's a fun, spicy September trade that makes the top 6 in the East very, very clear to me. It's just very cool. I never thought that he was going to the Knicks. The Knicks
really?
The Knicks didn't have enough players to trade for him. They're not, the players that they were offering were not very good. Like Mitchell Robinson, they signed to a deal, and it's like, he's always hurt. Like there's just like the guys that they were offering was like, and we're not going to trade Quentin Grimes. And it's like, okay, like it just wasn't. It was a
they
very
could match
middling
the
return.
picks. I mean, wouldn't you agree that Barrett? I'm not a Barrett guy at all, but I'm also not a Sexton guy. So, I mean,
Sexton is just a lesser Donovan Mitchell, skill wise. It is a pretty. I wonder what the Garland Mitchell pairing looks like, and how like both guys learn to play together, since they both are like small guards that are pretty ball dominant. And Donovan Mitchell was a very good defensive prospect in college, but has been a very bad defensive player in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to need to get better. But like having Mobley and Allen behind them cleans that up a lot. Karis LeVert will be helpful off the bench, as will Ricky Rubio and Kevin Love. But they still need kind of like a quick trigger 3-point shooter there to play off of those two guards. So we'll see where that ends up. I mean, they're banking a lot on Okoro defensively, but he's really bad he's as bad as Matisse, if not worse, as a shooter. Guys just like leave him wide open. But it's I think it's less for me. Knicks didn't seem like they wanted to give up all of their stuff for him.
Yeah.
And then they locked in their 10th seed core and decided that this is what we want to go with. I don't think Donovan Mitchell would have been like the number one guy that made New York basketball back or anything, but
it would have been fun for them and for the team. Like they would have been good. I think that's a good backcourt. That the Brunson Mitchell backcourt is yes, they wouldn't have been back, but I think it would have made them better for sure.
I mean, I think just the East has gotten better. They were the 4 seed a couple years ago, and then fell out of the playoffs last year.
Yep.
And I think that where they are now, I'm not an RJ Barrett guy, although he's better than I expected. I think where they are now is maybe scraping into the play-in maybe. And it's just, to me, locking in a core like that is extremely limiting, and you just keep hoping that someone's going to want to come to the Knicks. And here was a guy that seemingly wanted to come to the Knicks.
Definitely wanted to go to the Knicks.
And you couldn't get him, or you didn't feel like you wanted to overpay for him when you just gave Jalen Brunson a bunch of money.
Well, I think they thought they were in such the driver's seat that they were playing a little more hardball than it'll. I guess we'll never know whether they just honestly passed on giving up too much, or they thought they were in a position of power, because there was a lot of reporting on that in the day or two beforehand. Mm-hmm. You mentioned as a defensive backcourt, their offense is going to be so good and they've got 2 outstanding defensive players behind them. I think you find a way to stagger them, especially when Rubio's back. You can have all sorts of different interesting backcourts with those 2 guys, and it is. They are both ball dominant, but I think naturally Garland is obviously a way better passer than Mitchell is. And I think Garland will slide into that point guardy role. And if Mitchell can just slide into, more of a Dwayne Wadey, but can shoot role on that team, I think that backcourt probably works fine.
Yeah. I think staggering is probably right. It just the Utah offense devolved so much into just spread everybody out and let Donovan Mitchell shoot 10 for 29. And it was good because they had good offense always, because he can get to the rim, he can get fouled, lobs to Gobert, shooters on the wing, whether it's Boyan or Ingles when he was there, or Conley, whatever. But it was extremely, extremely simplified. And now it's just Cleveland doesn't have those kinds of shooters around him to do exactly that. And I wonder if Donovan has it's a big change for him, going from being the guy to being kind of, still one of the foundational pieces obviously over there, but kind of more of a cog in finding, everyone's got to eat type of situation in Cleveland. It's going to be good, and it's worth doing. It just, nothing against the trade whatsoever. I think as a trade they had to make, they should have made, capitalizing on like a young core of success, of like a limited success, and now they can try to see where that takes them. And if Mobley just keeps getting better and Garland does as well, then like, hell yeah, that's a conference finals team, maybe more if they keep getting better. But go in the years to come. But yeah, I mean, I look at the East right now, and it's just a lot. It's just very good. Obviously, Boston, Milwaukee are probably like the top tier. Sixers, Heat, Cavs, Raptors to me is the next one.
Whatever the Nets is the wild card.
Yeah,
and no one.
And whatever the Nets are.
Right.
And then the Hornets will be good. I don't think the Wizards will be good, but some people do. I think the Pistons will be better. Like there's just not that many bad teams in the East, and there's more bad teams in the West now, especially with Utah.
Utah and San Antonio and Oklahoma City all basically, Utah and San Antonio specifically bottoming out.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City getting better, but still being bad.
For
likely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Houston, Sacramento still bad, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But Chicago's going to be still at least decent, and Atlanta's going to be, I think, take a step forward from last year.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks are behind all of those teams. I think the Knicks are still behind all of the teams that they were behind last year.
I agree.
And if that's the case, then they are out of the playoffs again. So maybe something will happen. People will get hurt. Teams will, Brooklyn will fall apart, whatever. But I'd rather be any of the 10 teams that finished ahead of the Knicks last year. I'd still rather be those guys. And the Knicks finished 6 games behind them.
We'll get to Sixers implications in a second. I want to talk about Briggs Auction. BriggsAuction.com/Ricky, or just download the Briggs Auction app. They are a auction house in Delco. 4-generation, family owned and operated. Cool shit. Honestly, every week. They have these big estate auctions. I love looking through the app. I get excited when there's a new auction. There was just one that closed yesterday. This is the kind of... There's great furniture in there. And by the way, one of a kind shit you're not going to find anywhere else. I love the art and the collectible stuff. So in the one that ended yesterday, there was an autographed Richard Nixon book. There was a piece of the Berlin Wall, which, by the way, sold for $20. An autographed Prince photo, a brand new in-the-box Polaroid camera from the 80s, and like all this vinyl, just incredible vinyl collection, a bunch of Beatles stuff in there. There's always great sports stuff in there too. And like I've mentioned about the furniture, if you go and buy new furniture now, you're waiting 6 months or a year because of supply chain stuff. You get it at Briggs Auction, it's ready right away. Just download the app, Briggs Auction, BRIGGS Auction, or go to briggsauction.com/Ricky. I think Steve from Briggs Auction was saying, starting in 2 weeks, they will have a new auction every week through Christmas. It's awesome. Pickup's easy. Saturday open pickup, or by appointment during the week, or work with them on one of their shippers so they can get it to you. And if you are looking to downsize, or have the house worth of shit you want to get rid of, Briggs Auction is where you do it. Info@briggsauction.com. Info@briggsauction.com is where you send the email. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process. So I asked this on Twitter. I thought the results were unsurprising, but asking you, which roster would you rather have for the next 4 years, the Sixers or the Cavs?
I mean, I think the Sixers pretty clearly. Maybe the next 10 years, you could say the Cavs.
To me, it was like 3, it was obviously the Sixers. 5, I think it was obviously the Cavs. That's why I settled on 4. I thought 4 was interesting.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I just think who has the best chance of winning a championship? The team with Joel Embiid and James Harden still. And I would go with them.
The question is the big question is how long for both of those guys,
Yeah.
and then how long before the Mobley Garland leap, and Mitchell could still get better, I assume. I mean, he's still 26 years old. 70% of the people said the Sixers. So then it got interesting. Sixers or Celtics? 52% said the Celtics. I think the Celtics were in the finals last year and everybody's young. I think you would have to say the Celtics, right?
I would just need them to wash all the green, the Celtics leprechaun bullshit, throw all their clothes away, get all that. I wouldn't want to touch, there need to be some sort of disinfecting period that I would need to supervise.
Sixers Bucks? mean, you'd have to pick the Bucks just because
Yeah.
Giannis has done it, right? Excuse me. So then Sixers Heat, I would take the Sixers over the next 4 years, right? I mean, that's pretty, I think. And then Sixers Hawks, 91% said Sixers. Is there a world in which you'd rather have the Hawks roster?
I mean, if Embiid gets hurt, then you can entertain it. But Trae Young's very good. I like DeJounte. I'm excited to see that backcourt. It's an interesting backcourt. Like Trae, DeJounte, and Garland, Mitchell. They're both very interesting backcourts in the sort of like 5 through 8 area of the East.
The Atlanta one makes a lot of sense in your head. I'm curious to see it. You know what I mean? Like it makes sense on paper. I'm curious to see it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just what everybody can't do everything, right? So it's like how are you going to get enough shooting to like off-ball shooting to play? Are you going to get enough like on-ball creation to play? Are you going to get enough defense at least in one position? It's just a very like how do you guard defense is slightly less important as you then go up the positional levels than like wing defense, than obviously center defense. But it matters, especially in the playoffs. How many times do we see Seth Curry or JJ get like toasted?
Right.
So I'm interested to see how those teams play in like a longer series when you're looking for any edge. But it's good. I mean, the East is really, really good. I thought the East was significantly better than the West last year, and it's only gotten more stark. Although I guess the Clippers and Nuggets will be healthier this year. But a lot of good teams in the league. A lot of good teams that feel like they can make the conference finals at least.
So you had mentioned the pieces on the Jazz, who are obviously, it is a fire sale. Also, by the way, like I'm sure they would trade Lauri Markkanen. I'm sure they would. I can't imagine they're banking on his future too. So Jordan Clarkson is there, Mike Conley is there, Bojan Bogdanovic is there, and Lauri Markkanen. I mean, it makes it a little complicated salary-wise. I think Bogdanovic makes what, around 20, something like that, 18 or 20, something like that?
19 and a half.
So
expiring contract, 19 and a half.
So it almost requires you to include, I mean, I don't know how the Sixers get to that without including Tobias or treating like 6 players, but of those players, Bojan Bogdanovic is honestly perfect. I mean, you put him in Tobias's spot in the starting lineup, I think the Sixers they're much better, honestly, in that case. But it's a tough, I don't know how you do it, right? You'd have to give up the pick, I think.
Yeah, the trade that I floated to resident trade expert Sixers Adam was Tobias, Matisse, Springer, and probably a pick for Bojan and Mike Conley.
Tobias, Matisse, Springer, and you'd have to give up the 2029 first.
Probably. I don't know. It depends how much how much negotiating they would do. Like Bogdanovic is on the older side. He's 33. Conley has 2 years left in his contract, so him and Tobias, even though Tobias' contract is more than Conley's, they're both definitely. And I don't know. Conley's not a positive asset at this point in his career, contract wise. But I think he would be helpful here as a backup point guard, kind of doing what Ricky Rubio is doing and will be doing in Cleveland. That'd be interesting to me. That'd be an interesting trade. It would require like Danny Ainge to very much like Matisse, obviously, who knows. And I think that there's an argument to be made that at this point in his career, Tobias is a better defender than Bojan. Just age-wise and versatility-wise.
I guess I have no idea. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Bojan was better earlier, but it seems like he's slowed down a little bit, and had to be the best defensive player on best wing defender on a couple teams. So that'd be interesting. But yeah, then it'd be pretty clearly you'd slot Bojan in, Conley would come off the bench, and you'd have a 3-point guardish rotation of Maxey, Harden, Conley. I love the idea of getting Mike Conley a ring, although not necessarily sure that the Sixers are the place for him to do that. But then that would be the consolidation trade I was talking about. And then the bench would be like somewhere in the and then you would try to move like if you trade Matisse and Tobias, then you're a little bit like one wing guy short. And then I was texting with Sixers Adam about trying to get like one more big wing defender, whether that's like Shake and Korkmaz or Shake or Isaiah Joe. I found I don't know how willing Orlando would be to do this, but then I traded Shake and Isaiah Joe for Chumo Kiki to get a little bit more shooting and defense at the wing.
If we're making a trade with Orlando, doesn't it have to be the Terrence Ross trade we've been talking about for 5 years?
I think then they just Gary Harris just went down.
He's been on the Magic for 25 years.
Yeah,
Terrence Ross.
He has been there a long time.
Yeah,
but I love Chuma, and he would be very fun here, and a good mix of with him and PJ as like a backup 4-5 rotation when Embiid sits and Paul's not working out or something. Anyway, this is fun to think about. I'm not rushing to trade Tobias. I think I've made that point clear at this point.
I would love to trade Tobias.
I just think that like you look at the construction of this roster of what they need from him and what the other guys now have with Melton and House and PJ, Tobias's weaknesses are, I think, a little bit less pronounced, and his versatility and like just like capability in different areas has become more helpful. But if he wants to get out of there, if he's, not inviting guys to the wedding or they're not showing up and he's not coming to white parties and all that shit, if it's become untenable, and it's, not that Tobias is forcing a trade anytime soon with that contract, but if it's like, hey, we should probably trade him, then like this is one I would definitely consider.
We're all waiting to see whether the consolidation trade ends up being the 2022 version of the $12 million Furcon contract, or whether it comes through. We're all cheering for you. I'd love to see it happen. Sure. It would be a big moment for all of us.
Well, I'm waiting for, partially it is to get your fingers ready, find a way to get Trevelyan Queen on this roster.
By the way, still no acknowledgement from Morey publicly about Trevelyan Queen, even though I tried to read the tea leaves and said that his public acknowledgement, not acknowledging the song at all, is a sign that he won't be on the roster, and I'm sticking to it even harder now.
That's fair. That's reasonable at this point. But it was also reasonable that Daryl is not listening to the podcast in August, September.
I was told
I think a lot of listeners check out and say like, we'll see you in October, which I respect and understand.
Some listeners, not a lot. Some.
Okay. I don't have the numbers.
Yeah.
But Spike doesn't let me see the numbers. It'll all go to my head.
Right.
But Daryl might be one of those people that are like, I'm not fucking, it's not my job to listen to this podcast in fucking July, August.
I was told, well, wait a minute. Hold on. Time out. First of all, I was told he's aware of the song. That not by him, but I was told he's aware of the song. Number two,
who's ratting to you that Daryl's aware of the song? Is his daughter telling you like Spike?
No one related to Daryl, but I have it on good information that he is aware of the song. The second thing is he did reach out to you to correct something I had said on a podcast about 3 weeks ago. So he must be listening.
That's true.
Yeah. Man.
I
want Trevelyan Queen on the roster. I want him on the roster.
But I also think that I think that a Matisse trade will happen. I think that maybe he's due. I don't know what the offers are like. No idea. We did the same. This is like very, 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 your weight as far as like trade value for a player that is defense first and offense weird. Obviously, him and Ben are not like similar offensive players in any way, but you're waiting to see like how other teams value Matisse.
Right.
And I think because of how bad Matisse was in the playoffs and also the vaccination thing in Toronto, I think that Daryl might be just waiting till that is a little bit fades into the background some. I'm not sure. But you're seeing workout videos from Matisse, and they don't look very impressive.
I didn't see. There's a Matisse workout video?
Yeah, he didn't post it. Somebody did. And it's just him like dribbling a little bit and like finishing kind of. It's not very good. It's not something that I would be like, yeah, post that shit. Like it's.
Better or worse than Ferk's hype video?
I mean, worse in a lot of ways.
Well, coming up next, CJ, I want you to get ready because I had some questions about this, though he did look prepared. We will get to CJ drinking J Harden wine this is something you have to see, in a robe with a fresh haircut, right after we talk about Big Barker therapeutic dog beds. I think Big Barker has a new fucking logo. I was looking at their Twitter. They've got a new doggy logo. It's awesome. It's not as good as the Process Pup logo, I don't think, but it is great. Big Barker been with us a long time. They are the only real dog bed on the market, the only dog bed proven by Penn Vet to keep your dog healthier. BigBarker.com/Ricky. BigBarker.com/Ricky. That's where you get your Big Barker, but also get the Process Pup patches. Send us a photo of your dog on the bed with the patch. We put them in the Process Pup gallery. What's the difference? Why does it keep them healthier? Well, most dog beds are not real beds. They're not made with support in mind the way that human beds are. And because of that, that makes the eventual joint pain that dogs will experience, whether it's through arthritis or just regular laying around, makes it more likely to happen. Big Barker's bed is designed in a way to prevent that from happening because it's a real bed. Notice when you look, if you have a non-Big Barker bed and you see your dog lie on it, they basically just sink right to the floor like it's a pillow. Looks comfortable, but not something you'd want to sleep in. Big Barker, sturdy, like made to last. There's a 10-year warranty. Talk about that in a second. And legitimately proven to keep your dog healthier. If you love your dog, which I know you do, there's no excuse not to have a Big Barker. BigBarker.com/Ricky. As I said, a 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten it at all, or they replace it for free. A 1-year at-home trial. If you don't like it, if your dog won't sleep on it, whatever, they will give a refund and also pay for the shipping to get it back. And handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds.
We didn't talk. Sorry, before CJ.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about Jordan Clarkson. Do you have any interest in Jordan Clarkson?
I mean, I think he would be exciting and he would be fun to have. I just don't, of those players, he's the one I'm least interested in, though I think he would be fun to have. Like, it would be nice, given the makeup of the roster and what we saw from one J Harden last year in the playoffs, to have a guy who is completely unafraid and capable of getting a bucket at some point. I'd rather have Bogdanovic. I'd rather have Conley, I think. You?
It's tough to get the numbers up to Clarkson.
What does he make?
13. So that's too little for the Tobias situation and too much for the Matisse and Korkmaz package.
Well, what does Springer makes, like 6.5 or something, right? Or
2.
No,
2. He's late first, so he's not that much. So even if you stack those three guys together, you're still not there. So you might have to get like a George Niang situation, and he was already in Utah, obviously. So it'd be a weird condensed trade for a guy who is like maybe not super worth doing. He'd be fine. He'd be interesting. He has made himself into a perfectly serviceable sixth man. I struggle to see, him and Maxey, him and Harden as a backcourt in spurts. I don't necessarily love it. So as much as it'd be nice to have him on the team just for like straight buckets, but I'm not dying for it.
Okay.
Not dying for it.
So on the last pod we did, we had an unboxing of J Harden wine from J Shed Wines, which we're not being paid to. We didn't even get free wine. It's fucking ridiculous. We had an unboxing and a taste test from me. Here it is. I tasted it. My review of it is that it tasted like red wine. I'm still alive 3 days later, so it doesn't seem like there's any sort of problems in that case. I don't feel sick. I feel fine. Here it is, still sitting on my desk.
Could have been worse.
I did send it to CJ, who didn't answer the door when they came to deliver it for him, so he had to pick it up the next day. And first of all, we see not only is he in a robe, but the robe is, this is a video thing. I'm telling you, this is a YouTube or Spotify video thing. He's wearing a robe, but it is, we see a lot of chest, I think.
A lot of shaved chest.
Yeah. No? He said, where's the mic?
You think I shaved my chest?
It looks very crispy clean.
No, this is bare.
CJ looks like one of those guys that just doesn't have a lot of body hair.
That's right.
Yeah.
One thing I'm noticing now that you didn't touch on is that he plugged his Instagram, J Harden on Instagram, J Harden 13.
Oh, really? Where? On
At
the
the bottom, yeah. So I'm wondering if anyone's just like discovering this wine and thinking,
Yeah.
wow, like
How
what
can I follow this guy?
yeah,
Oh,
who
yeah,
is
it is.
who is this guy?
It
How
is
can I
there.
follow this man's career?
Where
Can
can I
you
find out
imagine?
more?
By the way, him plugging his Instagram on it is hilarious for this reason. Somebody buying this wine and not aware of how to find James Harden on Instagram or have already followed him. Like, who would buy this at the store? Go, honey, this wine we got is amazing. I don't even know who this guy is. How can we find out more about him? Let's look at the fine print on the label.
All right, so slightly disagree. I don't think that like you're gonna look at a bottle of wine, not know who it is, and then follow the winemaker on Instagram because they've put it on the bottle. But I do think there's a chance that people just are shopping in a grocery store, see like a colorful bottle because that's how people pick
Yes.
wines anyway, and go
Agree.
like, "Oh, what's this?"
Agree.
And then either not know who James Harden is or not realize that it was Harden's thing and still buy it or look at it.
Totally
by the
fair.
way.
Totally fair. I've picked out bourbon like that. I've picked out whiskey like that. I've picked out wine like that based on the bottle. So totally true. So CJ, you went to the FedEx place to pick it up? You went to pick it up? Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
went to the FedEx location, picked it up. Now I have it.
So
How big is that glass? Looks pretty small.
It's appropriately
Hold it up to your
sized.
face.
it's a
Okay.
small glass.
It's a
Small glass.
Yeah. So what I was shocked about is I was like, I was thinking about it this morning on my run, and I was like, oh, you know what's going to happen? We're going to go to do the wine, and there's no way CJ can uncork the wine. There's no way. That was what I thought.
I was scared about that. I also don't have any wine glasses in my apartment. So I was like, I'm going to fucking drink this out of a coffee mug. Like, what am I doing? Also, I wouldn't have been able to open it. So that would have been messy. But luckily, I am not in my apartment. So I
Are
have
we
to
in
just-
the girlfriend's parents?
That's right. This is
Where is he?
girlfriend's dad's custom wine glass.
Oh,
This is
hello.
This is his robe. So
Oh,
He's-
wow.
he's with us.
You're
in
taking
spirit.
over his life.
Yeah.
I was going to ask where the robe came from, because who has a robe, especially.
Oh, I have a robe. I love
You
a
have a robe?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Love a robe.
Boy,
I had-
the robe, the mustache, the gambling pics.
Yeah, I
what a
haven't worn the robe with the
scumbag
mustache,
you are.
but that is making me realize that I need to.
I had two options actually because her mom offered to give one too, and it's a purple one off in the distance, but it was a little
Great.
smaller. So
Mm.
I thought this was more appropriate for the.
I do like a
event.
woman's robe. It's usually more plush.
Oh, yeah.
It's usually more comfy. But I think robe technology is getting better lately. I think
Robe
they're getting it
technology.
there for all genders and needs. I think it's
They're really making advancements. For
they're
sure.
huge.
So what this will go, I think, take a step toward proving is that this wine does have something for everyone. We will have had two people on the pod try it. There was obviously something for me in that it tasted like red wine. CJ, do you want to give it a smell, a swoosh around? You have any notes?
Yeah, so the bottle reads that it displays dark fruits and soft mocha. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm really searching for that mocha. So I got the smell.
Any hints of fourth quarter disappearances?
Slightly, but it might.
Taste goes away quickly.
Right. Okay. Here, I'm going for it.
You ready to try? Oh, there it is. There it is. Whoa. That was more than a sip. It was a gulp.
Jammy, I would say.
List
Full-
of adjectives.
It really connected my worlds.
There it is.
Oh, wow. There you go. There you go.
Your mouth to the Sixers.
Yeah.
So you give it a thumbs up. How many times you're not a wine drinker? When you drink wine, is it red or white or not, almost none at all?
This is the first wine that I've owned, like in my personal possession. Like,
Wow.
I've had wine when it's been like forced upon me, maybe less than 5 times in my life. So it's an honor for J Harden's wine to be my first in the catalog. But yeah, thumbs up. 9 out
right.
of 10.
There you go. There you go. Finish it. Finish the glass. There you go. Finish your tiny glass of wine.
Now I'm feeling it.
CJ just completely blitzed. That was a tiny glass.
I thought he was going to be drinking the wine the entire
The entire
Like we'd
pod.
come back to him and he will have been like done half of it.
Oh, it looks like he's drinking coffee. Oh, he's washed the wine away. Oh, that is ridiculous. That it calls into question his review at all. So, a couple of videos I want to run by you. You normally name the segments. I suggested Matisse's viral video corner for two reasons. One, because Matisse likes videos. Two, because he didn't get fully vaccinated. So virus.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, all right. So Matisse's viral video corner, there are two videos. One, the Ben Simmons will do second. First is James Ennis. And you really have to see the Ennis video. Former Sixer James Ennis would be valuable, of course, on every team. You really need to concentrate after the first few seconds of the video to see how suggestive this video is. This was sent to us by an Instagram user. CJ, go ahead. Whoa.
Yeah, he really
You really see him
frames
bouncing.
his crotch in his shorts.
Yeah. I mean, you're
really
really
insane.
seeing it bouncing there, I think.
That is the intent. It's not
Yeah.
a by accident. That is what he's trying to do. What is
Yeah.
on his bed? It looks like a silk robe. Isn't it?
Or is it a dress?
It could be a dress.
Maybe his wife's dress or maybe his dress? I don't know. It could be his
I'm
dress.
noticing a pair of feet.
Oh, there are a pair of feet.
Pair of feet in the video.
Whoa! Look at it. Right at the
Where?
top. There's a foot.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Good spot. So that's
So this is happening while somebody's in the room.
yeah, he's run for sure.
Now,
Their feet, and it's probably a dress. You're right. I was thinking it's like an after shower robe type of
whoa.
silk situation.
It's pretty
he
long.
Did he tell on himself? Could that be a child?
No,
I mean, look, it doesn't go down that far down the bed.
he's probably got a big bed. He's an NBA player.
Right.
Interesting choice. Don't like it in slow motion. Slow motion is a little too graphic for me, CJ. We got to make this the rated R version. Yeah, I guess that's a TikTok. Is it a TikTok trend? I don't know. Not following it.
TikTok is a fucking weird platform, man. I did my first like 2 weeks ago, and after one day took it off my phone. But TikTok is very strange. It's just it feels the most Black Mirror of all of the social media things. Like in my head when I watch it, I feel it manipulating my brain as I'm watching it.
Yeah.
Could you do this video? Could you do a version of this video?
No.
No.
No, couldn't do it.
Just you see it. Like it's very suggestive. It's not just showing the crotch. It does not look like he's wearing underwear. I think
It's a bouncing up and down situation.
yeah, it's a very Before we get to the Ben Simmons,
Is he
video,
playing somewhere, James Ennis? I know he's not in the NBA,
I don't
but
know.
like,
I don't know.
let's see. What's he up to?
A dancer, he's a stripper. Maybe he's working on that. He's chasing your dream of being.
He
a male
was
stripper.
on a team last year. He was on 3 teams. He was on a total of 7 games between the Nuggets, the Nets, and the Clippers.
Wonder if he did any of that in the locker room. How that would be received.
I bet he did.
Yeah.
I believe he plays in Russia now.
Interesting.
Do you think that
DC
was a
Samara.
Russian person on the bed?
Perchance.
Maybe trying to.
He's there now, CJ?
Yeah, that's what his Wikipedia says that he's signed to as of 2022.
Interesting.
There you go.
Well, free Brittany Griner and James Ennis. What are you doing?
Yeah. Just, I can't imagine
He played
People
in Israel
in
at some point last year. I'm
Russia
looking at his
loves-
real GM.
a guy bouncing his dick up and down on the internet like that. Is that allowed there? It's not. I guess
Yeah.
it's not China.
In March, he was in Israel, and then a week ago, he signed with
Oh.
this Russian league, August 27th.
This was Celebration, maybe
This might have,
Right.
that might have been the last thing he did before.
in Israel.
Interesting choice.
Well, speaking of suggestive dancing, LL Pavorsky Jewelers is the suggestive dancing sponsor of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. Original Ricky sponsor. We are closing in on 300 engagement rings purchased by Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners. So happy that LL is a sponsor of the pod. We actually, on Carl Andrew Record Club the other day, did an album suggestion from Kevin and Allie, the LL Pavorsky customers who I wed as their wedding officiant. There are just Rights to Ricky Sanchez, LL Pavorsky people all over the place. In fact, there is one on this podcast. Mike himself bought an engagement ring from LL Pavorsky Jewelers. LL also a sponsor of our Bark in the Park run team for Providence Animal Center. Look, if you're going to buy an engagement ring, what I would suggest is going to somebody that you trust deeply, and you can trust LL Pavorsky deeply. One, you're never going to see a video on the internet like we just saw of James Ennis of LL Pavorsky. He's too buttoned up. Two, he is welcoming to Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners. It is a very low pressure, high information, high love environment right there at LL Pavorsky. So much so that he doesn't even want walk-ins. He only wants appointments because he wants to be able to spend the proper amount of time with you. 215-627-2252 is how you reach him via phone. You can reach LL via email, lee@llpavorsky.com. You can actually just tweet at him at @LLPavorsky. He has been at 707 Walnut for more than 30 years. He has been the Ricky sponsor longer than any other Ricky sponsor. He will travel on Fly the Process, and he always wears a suit. That is LL Pavorsky. A supporter of our charitable efforts with Providence Animal Center and Mama T's Community Fridge. That is one. LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
Would look great in a mustache and robe. I was thinking, as you were saying that, I was thinking, there's been podcasts that are around longer than us.
Yes.
We're over 9 years, closing, on 10 by the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like a small business that has sponsored a podcast for longer than LL has sponsored us? Like
there's no way.
I'm sure like stamps.com or whatever, like the big ones are sponsoring like all the big ones. But like as far as like one small local business having sponsored this podcast for 6 or 7 years, whatever it is, that's a run. I want if that's checkable, that's pretty cool.
My guess would be we probably have the top 5 of that category all on this podcast, like with length of time sponsoring a podcast, a small business. I think Lee would definitely be number 1, but I have to imagine Kornblau is probably on that list as well. Big Barker, local small business as well. So, and then eventually you get to they're all small businesses except for DraftKings, which is fucking massive business. So, so I did mention there was a video of Ben Simmons. So there's been a lot of publicity about the U.S. Open with Serena Williams this week. And there is a video yesterday shown of one Ben Simmons at the U.S. Open. And the reaction to him, this came from, I can't see it, Darcy, what's her last name?
Maine.
I
have not seen this video.
Okay. So here it is. Oh, you can't really hear it on here. He gets booed.
Is it a full boo or is it one person?
No, it's so you can tell when you actually listen to it. It's a full boo. It is the place boos him. It is not as if they had put him on in Philadelphia, but it was not one person. Like it was a good number of people booing. Now he grins. There's no way he actually thinks it's funny.
This is in New York?
Yeah. It's in Flushing, Flushing Meadows near Citi Field and where Shea Stadium used to be. So I just think it's amazing that they have turned on him that quickly, that he would get boozed that quickly, I think is sort of surprising.
I mean, yeah, not hearing the full bore of the boo, and I'm not sure if it's more than one person.
It is more than one person. Can anyone in the chat confirm this? CJ, you could also, there's a bunch of different videos out there. I think the people who tweeted videos all gave it a different sort of estimate as to how many boos there were, but it was definitely a good number of boos.
Because there could be, could just be a collection of Sixers fans there. I wouldn't say this. All right, I'm listening on my phone. 1 second.
Okay. I do think, as Mike listens on his phone, I do think that we should have the DraftKings bet again whether he will make his first free throw. I know it's very petty to do it again. I know they had to give all the money back last time because he didn't even shoot a free throw. But I would like to do the DraftKings bet again. Mike, what is your, now that you've listened to it?
It wasn't as much as of a full boo as it really kind of sounds like one person and there's like just the din of the crowd doing other stuff and not really paying attention. So if anything, it's like the fact that it's in New York, he's a New York basketball player ostensibly,
And doesn't get
and no
cheered.
one cheers.
Yeah.
That I think is notable, but I also don't think it's like a full boo because like realistically, he hasn't played there. People are like, okay, he's just showing up places.
He's never going to play there.
That would be very interesting. It's
Yeah.
very funny to see it. Like all the like East Coast backcourts are loaded. Like
Yes. And talking about them.
graphic, whatever Twitter accounts or Instagrams, and like listing him there. And it's just like I truly don't know. Really don't know.
Let's go to the mailbag, rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. That is rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com, or leave us a voicemail at 833-LICKFACE. That's 833-LICKFACE. We'll do an email first. This comes from Tommy. He actually sent an email in last time. I didn't get to his non-basketball question, asking about our thoughts on the rehearsal. I had done a Cheap Chick in the City tweet several weeks ago, and the email came in. I enjoy everything that Nathan Fielder does. I enjoyed the rehearsal. It was like I can't get enough of awkward, uncomfortable video like that. I did like the episode with the guy that plays trivia more than I liked the arc of the child rearing part of it. But I do enjoy everything he does. I could watch Nathan Fielder stuff for the rest of my life. You?
So I typically hate cringe comedy. It's really just not my whole life for me. I remember I don't know that this is the example. Obviously, it's like this is a scripted thing, but like I remember Meet the Parents being very cringy for me. Just like seeing people and being uncomfortable and being caught in whatever bullshit. So I'd say it's not my style of comedy. I don't know if the pandemic or age has changed me in some way, but The Rehearsal is one of my favorite things I've ever watched.
Oh, really?
in the
That is
history of
stunning to
time.
me.
I loved every second of it.
Wow.
I loved it. We talked about it at work all the time. I thought it was just phenomenal. I laughed. I don't usually laugh when I watch things. I laughed so much. It was also extremely impactful in a fun. It was like observational of humanity, both in like a positive and negative light.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really funny, and I thought like the production side of things, of how they how plot points like swung based on like what they were willing to do production wise. I just thought that was all really funny, and it was like seeing like how the sausage gets made of like that kind of show, and him like at the center of it was just really funny, and I think weirdly moving, but mostly really funny for me. I thought it was incredible.
The two standouts for me were the actor that played the trivia guy's friend, just fucking nailing exactly how she was, like really just incredible. She did a great job. And then in the kid raising arc, one of them, that guy that she went on the date with that saw numerology things and everything was
Miracle status, crashing his Scion TC at 100 miles an hour.
just really incredible. Yeah, really incredible. I love it.
People will say that it's scripted or fake. I just don't believe that that's true. I also through a friend of a friend know one of the producers of the show. It's people are just very odd, and he does a great job of putting them in positions for their unique brand of oddness to shine. And it's just like the show gets places that I've just you couldn't conceive of at the top of it. And there's my favorite line, one of my favorite lines in recorded audio history is him at a certain point. I won't spoil where he is at the point, but a voiceover of him going, "What on earth am I doing?" I lost it there. I thought I'm going to watch it all again. I thought it kicked ass. Unbelievable.
Wow. Great.
It's not for everybody, for sure.
No,
it's totally not for everybody, and that's something that I accept. But it is for me one of my favorite things I've ever watched, and I can't stop thinking about it.
It's the sort of show that my wife will tolerate because I love it so much. She doesn't hate it, but only just barely will tolerate. Voicemail 833 Lickface. 833 Lickface is where you leave us a voicemail.
Traveling queen. Now I'm shooting open threes, and when Harden dishes one, go get that and one.
There we go.
It started out bad
Yep.
and then got good,
Yeah.
and I like it.
I love extra lyrics to it. That's
Yeah,
great.
I thought that was cool. It started out bad and got good, I think, is also hopefully the story of Traveling Queen's Sixers tenure.
This comes from Chris, Rights To Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com, basketball related. You guys talked about the god-awful backup center signings from last season. I saw a post on Instagram where the projected Sixers depth chart and people in the comments very much want the team to sign Boogie or Whiteside.
Oh, no.
Just wanted to hear your take on either of these two guys, if you want them or if you'd rather ride with B-Ball.
No.
Yeah, I'm with you on a no.
No.
I'm with you on a no.
I think the benefit, PJ Tucker might only be able to play like 20 minutes a game, like
Until the
especially
playoffs.
as his. But even if his body starts to, like, I would be totally fine with PJ Tucker playing 20 minutes a game in the playoffs, even, because then that means like at least 10 of those are him, like as ostensible backup 5 kind of thing, if you need it. And I think like they're going to be, if this is the team as is, this team, no more additions, no consolidation trade against all evidence to the contrary, then I think they're in great shape. I think B-Ball Paul can play against a lot of teams. I think Bassie can play against a lot of teams if he keeps improving. And I think that like a PJ Tobias, if Matisse is there, Dan House, like there's enough size and some rebounding to not be a complete zero without Embiid on the court. And that's one of I think the major benefits of PJ Tucker. As he ages and gets worse at defending wings, at least he'll be able to continue to like somewhat anchor defense for a few minute stretch at a time in the playoffs. So no to those other people, please. And this can't be a thing where Daryl lets Doc pick again.
No, it's
it
enough.
Can't
of
be
that.
a thing.
It's enough.
It can't be a thing where I think
start drawing the line in the sand here.
You have to.
Yeah, maybe piss Doc off a little bit. Give him
If they trade for like Larry Nance or something, which I don't think that New Orleans would want to trade, but I keep referencing, I think he's a great backup center. He'd be awesome. That'd be very cool if they package like, I don't know, Matisse and B-Well Paul and Korkmaz or whatever for Larry Nance, something like that. Then it's like, okay, that's a more stable thing than what we have here. I get that, but not just random center that was good in 2009. Like we can't do it. We can't do it anymore because Doc's going to play him. If you give Doc a candy bar, he's going to eat the candy bar. He's not just going to save it for later. He is a baby. Baby going to eat candy bar. Baby going to play backup center. That's bad. Too many minutes. Unless he gets bullied, which he did repeatedly and never took ownership of the bullying.
The non-basketball question, it says non-basketball related, but still a little, if not entirely basketball related. Trevelin Queen is officially a park legend in Florida. There's a video on YouTube of him playing at a street ball tournament in Tampa. There's a full video up on YouTube of him destroying park pickup hoopers. He plays on the Pack. And then he gives the link. He said, his team wins the whole thing. I hope you take a few minutes to enjoy it. I started listening this offseason after my girlfriend's favorite bartender turned on Sixers Summer League down in Tampa. We started to bond, and he told me about the Ricky. I love listening to you guys talk so much that I've gone back to old episodes from years ago just to hear your take on moments, Sixers world history.
Wow.
Yada, yada, yada.
That's wild. I truly love the idea that a bartender is telling someone at the bar
About the Ricky?
About the Ricky. What a 1976 thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, listen to this radio show. That sounds awesome. Good. Thank you to that bartender. Tremendous. I love it.
By the way, thank you to the bartender for putting on Sixers Summer League
Yes.
in Florida. It's
That was
funny.
me, actually. I'm sorry to say. I'm moonlighting as a bartender in Philly. I also want to shout out, while we're talking about Doc a little bit, shout out to Addison who tweeted at me, who said, any question asking you about coaching Alyssa's team, response should be, would you ask Pop that question? So I will do that.
And finally, we will leave you with a voicemail. 833-LickFace is where you leave us a voicemail.
Hey there, Spike and Mike. Kind of a random question, but if a sex tape involving one of our current players leaked, which player's involvement would make you most likely and least likely to watch it? Thanks.
I think
It's a
that
good
I
question.
there's things that I just like decide to opt out on, like watching things for the Sixers, and there's like, I don't have to do it. I vow that if there's a sex tape that leaks between any of the Sixers, unless they're saying like, this is, I don't know, maybe if they're saying like it's very, I was gonna say I vow to watch it, but if they really like are upset about it or embarrassed about it, maybe I would honor that decision, I guess, on honor that request. But if they're like, yeah, whatever, then I'll watch it no matter what, no matter who it is. Could be anybody. Who is it? Who would it?
Who are you most likely to? Who would you watch the quickest, and who would you be least likely to want to watch?
I feel like I don't want to watch B-Ball Paul have sex, and that's nothing against him, or I think he's handsome. It's nothing against about that. I just looking at him and talking to him. I just don't want to see it. I don't want to see what it's like. I'm not interested in seeing what it's like. But I would if a B-Ball Paul sex tape does leak and he is cool with it, then I did vow to watch it.
So the person I don't want to watch a Harden sex tape. I just have no desire. I'd like, there would be something, obviously, we don't want to watch it if it gets stolen from anybody's phone. So this would be a sex tape that we're assuming they'd be okay with the release of.
If James Ennis is posting it, maybe they would post it also.
Right. So I don't want to watch Harden. I think the one who I would be most curious about seeing is probably Ferk.
That has the potential to be the funniest. Maxie would also be funny in a different way.
Just big old grin.
Yeah. Just look at the camera. Smiling, thumbs up. I'm having sex. I'm having consensual sex. Great.
Yeah. There you go.
But I will watch it. I guess if it's all above board, I'll watch it.
I would love to see, I mean, if Daniel House, if there ends up being like a,
yeah, as far as the Harden in the bubble situation, if there's any like clues.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. That's it. Nothing happening. Still August, even though it's September. We'll talk to you next time. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. Lick face.